Like if you take the J-A out, you got Mel. The burger had like jelly on it, you know, like jelly, Melly, Melly. Ooh, Melly. I told my
Today was YNW Melly's first court hearing for his September trial. The new judge was shocked to find out how long Melly has been in jail, over 5 years without a trial. Melly showed up with a new hairstyle, but it wasn't his looks that got the judge upset, it was the lengthy delay in his case. As she went through the case files, she discovered how long he had been locked up, which added to her frustration. Reports say Melly now needs to decide who will be his lawyer. He's been in jail for over 1,159 days, and many people are wondering why his case is still dragging on. Let me repeat myself, Melly surprised. Since Mr. Dion's has been incarcerated for 2,159 days, he must make an educated choice on the attorneys he wants to hire. How long would it take you to make that decision? The sheriff's office will decide after the investigation is over, but I may have, as I requested, and then ask for at least a day or two to make a decision by tomorrow. Melly wanted a new judge who wouldn't just side with the accused, and the judge couldn't believe that he had been. He said, "Give us your final reason why he should not be free by tomorrow, or I am releasing him on bond." However, to improve Melly's chances of being released, his lawyer used evidence from the first trial that showed Melly texted his ex-girlfriend in real time as the crime happened. While he was running from the guys on the street, he claimed that someone had just hit him with a car and was attempting to shoot them. I asked him if he was okay and where he was, and he replied that someone had just pulled up and was attempting to shoot them. The conversation you provided seems to focus on a complex legal situation involving an individual, likely related to the YNW Melly case, and the dynamics of the legal process surrounding criminal trials. I'll attempt to clarify and expand on the key points, adding depth to the discussion while also maintaining the underlying themes you've shared. The situation you're describing seems to be centered around a case that revolves around a series of events that led to the arrest and subsequent trial of an individual, likely YNW Melly, a rapper who faced serious charges involving the deaths of 2 of his associates. From the fragment of conversation shared, it appears that there is a discussion about the legal challenges and complexities that come with prosecuting someone under high scrutiny, the police investigation, and the influence of legal maneuvering. The conversation begins with an individual, possibly a witness or a party involved in the case, making a comment about the presence of others, likely referring to people involved in a pursuit or an event that occurred. There's a sense of uncertainty about who was where, with mentions of a car and the idea that members of an opposing street group were involved in following or chasing Melly. This may suggest a street-level conflict or a gang-related backdrop to the case, which could complicate matters for investigators, prosecutors, and the defense team. Despite this uncertainty, the statement that no handgun was found hints that physical evidence, possibly a weapon, was never recovered or did not match the narrative being constructed by the prosecution. The exchange about "Are you okay?" followed by a query about others in the car indicates some concern for personal safety or well-being, which could be interpreted as either part of a larger investigation into the case or simply a moment of personal interaction. However, it also underscores the atmosphere of tension that often surrounds cases involving gang-related violence, where the individuals involved are not always forthcoming with details and the truth can be clouded by fear, loyalty, or other external pressures. The prosecution's claim that no weapon was recovered may point to one of the key challenges in the trial. Without the physical evidence, proving guilt can become far more difficult. What stands out in the statement is the idea that authorities might be pursuing charges not just because of what Melly is alleged to have done, but because they want you. This reflects the intense pressures that often accompany criminal trials, especially in cases involving public figures, where the legal authorities might feel the need to demonstrate their power or their competence in handling such cases. It is an interesting commentary on the way justice can sometimes be influenced by public perception and political concerns, rather than solely by the legal facts of the case. Moving deeper into the conversation, it seems there's a realization that the authorities involved in the case may have acted with a sense of urgency or political motivation. The discussion about the legal system seems to suggest that the prosecutors may have been pursuing charges against Melly, not solely based on the facts of the case, but because of a broader sense of pressure to convict, regardless of whether the law had been followed exactly. This is where the narrative transitions into a critique of the legal system itself. The individual remarks they are doing whatever they want with Melly, whether it is legal or not, expressing disillusionment with how the authorities have been conducting the case. It's not uncommon in high-profile cases for the legal system to be criticized for operating in a way that appears politically motivated or biased, especially when the charges are severe and the public's interest is piqued. The mention of a law that was passed before Melly's trial began is particularly noteworthy. It suggests that there was a strategic element to the timing of the trial, where authorities may have been waiting for a new law or policy to be enacted to strengthen their case or to make it easier to secure a conviction. The timing of trials can be a critical factor in the prosecution's success, and this could indicate that they were waiting for some form of legislative or procedural change that might give them an upper hand in the case. When you mention that Melly was in jail for 2 or 3 years, it highlights another aspect of the legal struggle: the length of time individuals can be held before they are formally tried. While the defendant is presumed innocent until proven guilty, pretrial detention is often used as a tool to exert pressure on the accused. In this case, the mention of the extended period of incarceration before trial may point to frustrations or concerns about the fairness of the process, particularly when the accused is held for an extended period without a trial, which is a common issue in the criminal justice system. The phrase "they waited until that law was passed and took him to trial a few months later when they wanted you" touches on the interplay between the legal system and the timing of decisions made by authorities. There's a sense of agency and control being exerted by the prosecution or law enforcement, emphasizing that the trial's timing wasn't purely procedural but rather was strategically chosen. This raises questions about whether the legal system is truly impartial or if external factors like political pressures, media influence, and public opinion have led to a trial that might not have been fair or balanced. Furthermore, you raise the question of why Melly didn't receive a BN after a missed TR, which is likely referring to a bond hearing or a mistrial. This could be an indication of frustration with the fact that the defendant did not receive a chance for release on bond or that the trial didn't proceed as expected. The goddamn at the end underscores the confusion and frustration surrounding this point. In conclusion, this conversation sheds light on several layers of the criminal justice system as it relates to high-profile trials. It highlights the pressure faced by both the accused and the prosecution, the ways in which the legal system operates in the face of intense public interest, and the possible influence of political and social factors in the pursuit of justice. The legal maneuvers and timing of trials are often far from neutral, and the frustrations expressed in the conversation reflect broader concerns about fairness, transparency, and the use of power within the legal system. These issues are common in criminal cases involving public figures, but they also serve as a reminder of the human element at play in every legal decision. Behind every case, there are individuals who are affected by the choices made within the courtrooms and the justice system, choices that often extend far beyond the facts of the case itself. Origin: since this has been his reality for the last 5 years and the feds can do whatever they want to him, Melly's mother is presently fighting the county jail to get her son freed from detention. Melly is requesting her immediate release from jail after suing the Broward Sheriff's Office for inhumane treatment. Melly also asserts that they have prohibited him from seeing or communicating with any family members for 3 years, as well as from using a phone or even accessing his mail or other condemned prisoners' belongings. Possess the right to use a telephone, the right to send letters to their loved ones, and the right to keep their mail. They do not surrender it to Charleston. Melly should not be given special treatment according to White's response to this revelation, and he should live the YNW. I am really delighted that he is being abused in prison. Yes, I am quite happy that he is being mistreated in jail. However, when you take a life, you have no right to complain about it. It's heartbreaking and makes me feel completely helpless. The mothering thing about being mistreated when you've chosen to play someone caused a lot of distress for Melly's mother, Jamie King, who acknowledges that she feels hopeless and devastated because Melly is not even receiving humane treatment in prison. Melly's statement simply states how he's been hurt and how he's scared for his life as a mother. Investigations into the Broward Sheriff's Office are very necessary, as they are causing. Establishing their own guidelines, we have attempted to take this matter to court, but the judge really has no jurisdiction over the jail because we had a hearing regarding his mistreatment and the jail sort of sets its own rules. I don't think that's fair because I know that Boozy would take notice of this and discuss the stress that Jay King has been under. I heard that she had a real stressed out situation and I reached out to him. The feds will create a 6-page evidence dossier explaining why Melly shouldn't be permitted to leave jail in retaliation, and if you were to do so, you would start with the most important new piece of information, which is what the motivation was. I reached out to him, bro, and I met his mother, and she was good. Melly, who was close to King Val, was given a secret by a renegade All-Block member that finally led to his imprisonment. Melly then asked King Val for advice on how to handle a situation involving. He told me that after I posted what I had posted, he was upset with me and asked, "Why did you put that bro out the B? I thought, you're sitting up here like you know the love we got, you do this for us, but you're going to trust that his 2 friends," and he said was trying to extort him. Melly had revealed to him that he was friends with Chaser and Juvie, but he hadn't come out and said, "We got into an argument." Then it involves firing Chaser and pursuing Melly financially because it is a registered business where Melly and Borland contributed money for concert merchandise sales and company promotions, but they wanted a cut of the money but didn't work hard. If you are familiar with King Von's background and his handling of cases, you can imagine how Von would have motivated Melly to handle this. Evidence found on Melly's mobile device: he texted him hours after the incident to confess, and when the PG Gambino account asked him if he was okay, he replied, "I did that," and included a smiley face emoji. Then, on October 26, 2018, at 1602, Ellie Count sent him another message asking what had happened. This is where the problem arises. But on Melly's phone, a secure video from someone's Facebook Live was also found. It shows how Melly and the band handled the situation barely 6 hours after it was. Devoted, the lead prosecutor would then go into great detail about the physical evidence of the crime, such as the Jeep they were driving in during the initial trial, and show no remorse for the loss of the two best friends. Knowing how Melly handled it emotionally, Sergeant Williams would then reveal that there was no way this could have been a drive-by number, she said. Nevertheless, Melly still turned away after this early morning. "He's still out here being very positive, still hey. There is no time assignment that is to determine whether this is a drive, so I decided that this is not a drive-by based on this picture, which is very good. Outside the car, how many rounds were inside the car? 3. Can you exclude the fact that Mr. Williams and Mr. Thomas are coming from outside the car? Yes, from the passenger driver's side back seat as to Christopher Thomas. Okay, where did that driver's side seat go?" Image to explain it. After Williams admitted that the crime must have taken place inside the car during the Melly trial, Juvie's mother took the stand and identified the spectators. "Are you related to one of the in this case?" "Yes, I am." "How so, mother? And who is that Christopher?" she asked. "All of these rounds are done at a stationary position. All but one of these rounds are done at a stationary position." The conversation you provided seems to focus on a complex legal situation involving an individual likely related to the YNW Melly case and the dynamics of the legal process surrounding criminal trials. I'll attempt to clarify and expand on the key points, adding depth to the discussion while also maintaining the underlying themes you shared. The situation you're describing seems to be centered around a case that revolves around a series of events that led to the arrest and subsequent trial of an individual, likely YNW Melly, a rapper who faced serious charges involving the deaths of 2 of his associates. From the fragment of conversation shared, it appears that there is a discussion about the legal challenges and complexities that come with prosecuting someone under high scrutiny, the police investigation, and the influence of legal maneuvering. The conversation begins with an individual, possibly a witness or a party involved in the case, making a comment about the presence of others, likely referring to people involved in a pursuit or an event that occurred. There's a sense of uncertainty about who was where, with mentions of a car and the idea that members of an opposing street group were involved in following or chasing Melly. This may suggest a street-level conflict or a gang-related backdrop to the case, which could complicate matters for investigators, prosecutors, and the defense team. Despite this uncertainty, the statement that no handgun was found hints that physical evidence. Borland was booked into a Miami jail on Monday night in order to extend the time to file the reason Melly must remain in jail. We have confirmed that Borland is being held behind bars on an out-of-count warrant for witness tampering. The warrant, which was obtained by Long Crime Network, states that on or around April 10, 2023 through and including July 22, 2023, Corlin Henry, also known as Borton, and others engaged in unlawful and knowingly misleading conduct toward. The warrant also states that Portland allegedly tampered with a witness when the feds raided the band's home and found documents packed in a bag. The dates in the warrant are significant because they show that the legal process summoned the alleged witness to the jury trial of Jamal Demons, also known as YNW Melly, in mid-April, and a judge declared a mistrial on July 22. Based on the story, these are the documents. Pictures of purported notes found during the band's house search, in which Borland describes the locations of certain jurors and their appearances to highlight the gravity of the situation. As well as the response of academics. Careless Borland, how are you going to keep the jurors' notes in your home? Goddamn, you see what I mean, buddy? It's like creating a surveillance video and playing it on your DVD player or something. I mean, come on, buddy. Like, they're raging in your crib and then the security video on your DVD plays and you're like, oh, I see. Thank you, brother. This can't be at your crib, for example. Melly was given a life sentence. Borland has 6 fresh allegations against Demons and 2 other people who were reportedly engaged, including tampering. These are not the only accusations Melly and Borland are now facing. Borland might have handed this material to some major street members to wreak retribution on Melly, involving a witness directing the operations of a criminal solicitation or conspiracy to conduct tampering and unauthorized use of a 2-way communication device. These additional charges, which dealt with the band's massive blunder, actually carried a life sentence. During the first trial, Juvie's father would disclose the code phrases Melly and Borland used to persuade Melly's ex-girlfriend not to testify against him. He would also disclose how they were witness tampering with Melly to explain why Jamal Demons, now Melly, and YNW, also known as Corlin Henry. Portland is now facing witness tampering charges. It sounds like the prosecutors are claiming that Melly was communicating in a crazy way, passing notes to people despite being prohibited from using the phone. Then this person called this person, and that person said something like, I'm going to extreme measures to try to cover up and convince people not to testify like Mariah mom, using icy language like Rihanna. Nevertheless, Melly's lawyers will be able to provide the defense of the prosecutor's evidence file, claiming that a study indicates that Melly's retrial won't happen for a long time. Melly's double M trial is scheduled for September 2025. His mother, Jamie King, even gave an update outside the courthouse. As a result, we had court today, and both he and Bort had court. In essence, the judge set a new trial date for September 10th, 2025. Please make sense at this point. They should just dismiss the case. Yes, he is still in the new facility alone without phone calls or visits, and he is not permitted to communicate with any other prisoners. He is moved about with many guards, and it's like something you never saw music.